have a review for you, a requested review by several people, namely Mind Zombie, Eros One, and many others, Sea Spray. Gonna talk about the Beast Wars Takara X9 Ravage. This is a retooling or re-engineering, resculpting, a little bit of resculpting, and recolor of Beast Wars Transmetal Cheetor. Now, quick background on this. Within the official storyline, this is G1 Ravage, who at the end of the Great War was granted amnesty, along with some other Decepticons. But he went on to basically work as a freelance mercenary, sort of a job, and eventually joins up with the Predacons, who rebuild him. The story goes, he is sent back through space and time by the Tripedicus Council to apprehend, terminate Beast Wars Megatron, because he's become a real pain in everybody's butt. And when he arrives on Earth, he actually joins with the Maximals, and with the help of his transport cruiser, leads an attack on the Predacon base, and is successful in apprehending Megatron. However, Megatron, being the cold, calculating gambler that he is, picks his moment and divulges his whole plan to Ravage, including a recording that was secretly inscribed on the golden disc that Megatron stole, which was the golden disc on board the 1977 space probe Voyager, and showing him the recording left behind by G1 Megatron, proving that everything that Beast Wars Megatron has been doing is the will of G1 Megatron. Ravage switches sides and joins with Megatron. Leads an attack on the Maximals. Luckily, however, sneaky old Rat Trap. There's many revelations in this episode, but sneaky old Rat Trap saves the day. Unfortunately, we don't ever see Ravage again. And it's kind of sad, because this was one of my favorite Decepticon characters, and to see him go out in anonymity, lost somewhere in space and time, and especially when all those annoying regular Predacon cast members survived. It was sad to see him go out the way he did in that episode, but still, later on, based on that popularity, Takara issues this. All I can say is this is an incredible figure. Let's go take a look at him up close. Okay, Beast Wars Ravage. Now here we have him in his beast mode, and as I mentioned before, this actually is not his alt mode from the show. We never see him in the cat mode, which is a shame, because I think this is a much better and more believable mode. You know, after all these eons and years have passed since the Great War, he was depicted as still being a cassette. You know, if he's going to go through the whole process of being rebuilt, reprogrammed, etc., why keep this mode? That made no sense to me. Much nicer mode here. Now, I don't have the regular Transmetal Cheetor, I have the Fox Kids one, but just to kind of show a couple of the changes quickly, mainly with the chrome. You see the gold chrome here on Ravage has been changed out to a black, and you can see from the head, Ravage's head is quite a bit small, and that gets into that re-engineering, re-sculpting stuff, which I'll talk about here shortly. The majority of what's here is just molded plastic. None of the textures, as far as the cybernetics and what little organics there is on this mode, have been resculpted. Mostly it's molded black plastic, or this kind of silvery, it's kind of a silvery plastic, but it does have a little bit of a gold tint to it, a gold hue to it. Whether that turns into gold plastic issues later on down the road, I really don't know, because it's not that gold, but who knows. You do have some copper chrome here, and then on the head you have painting here in that kind of that goldish silver here, and his eyes are painted red. Outside of that, that's it for paint. On the back legs, he has these devices which will attach to his guns later on, we'll see shortly, but those are kind of a throwback to his little G1 weapons that fit on his hindquarters. transformation on this is, again, essentially, for the most part, the same as Cheetor. When we get to the head, it'll be different, but I need to show you two other things I almost forgot. He does have the flip-out jetpacks still that Cheetor had. And then the one glaring problem, if you get this figure, you're probably going to keep him in robot mode the majority of the time anyways, which is primarily the mode that we saw him in the show anyways. So it's really not an issue. You know, some of you that have issues about kibble or visible robot parts are really not going to like this. But due to the retooling or the re-engineering, primarily of the head, his robot arms basically are just here along the bottom of his body. That's because of the retooling of the head. Now here on Cheetor, we know this head splits in half, becomes his arms and hands. His arms are all tucked up underneath the head, and his hands are actually the jaw of the cat mode. That couldn't happen on this because Ravage does not have a robot head. He has a feline head like so. So they had to leave this head intact. So let me go ahead and get this transformation going. I'm just going to take these legs, and I fold mine up a little bit different than I think some folks do. I like to leave mine just like that. A lot of times I'll see, people will fold them up like this, but I think this is a little more low profile once we get into the robot mode. So I'm just going to fold these up like so. And I'm going to just take this back section here. It's going to lift up. It sticks a little bit. That's one thing that is nice on this figure that I miss. Is these tight joints. It's so nice. So this just comes up, flips out like so, and then just kind of drops down. It doesn't peg into anything, it just kind of sits down there. Now the arms, I'm just going to fold them out like this. And this chest panel I'm going to bring down. Not all the way, because there's a little peg, a little clip right here, that's going to slide into a groove on this mechanism here to hold the head in place. Now there are a couple of little hinges here. There's one underneath here for this piece. There's one right here, and there's one here. Now what you have to do, first off, I'm going to flip Ravage's head down like that. Then I'm going to just take this and I'm going to fold this down, this piece down, so this is horizontal to the rest of his body, like so. Then I'm just going to push, we'll get that chest out of the way. Then I'm going to bring and I'm going to fold this hinge up and then down, and then just bring the head down like so. Now just to make sure, see there's that groove right there, that little clip right there. Need to make sure that I get that in, and that's just going to help hold his head in place. Now I'm just going to flatten the shoulders down against his body like so. I'm going to straighten out his rear cat legs. I'm just going to bring down the heel spurs here. He does have the removable mace. I just leave that there. I don't use it because his other weapons are much more impressive. And there we have Ravage in his robot mode.